Good evening. It's 10 years since the US-led invasion of Iraq began. The regime of Saddam Hussein eventually fell under heavy bombardment, but there was a high price, with lives lost among civilians and British troops, and the country continues to suffer terrorist attacks.
Ben Godfrey has been to meet one of the victims of Saddam Hussein's regime, a Kurdish refugee who fled Iraq to escape torture and has now made a new life in Coventry.
Noory Ahmed was first imprisoned at the age of 12. As a university student, he was tortured.
It's a scar when I was in prison. That's where they cut it with the sharp razors and then they put salt and lemon on it. It's a torture.
His only crime was being Kurdish and believing in independence from Iraq.
We would be arrested and hung to death. 100%. There's no doubt.
When war was declared in March 2003, Noory was in Coventry. He'd fled northeastern Iraq, leaving his family behind, searching for safety.
I remember my mum said, I know I'll never see you again, and we didn't. I never seen my mum and dad again because they passed away while I'm here.
Noory later found work and love. Now a British citizen, he has 2 young children with his partner Sonia.
He could write a book. It's really interesting, you know. I was saying to him when the kids get older to tell them and, you know, make them involved as well in what he's been through in his life.
Adjusting to life in Coventry was tough.
We were getting like racist abuse, but I could cope with it because the main thing I run away was my life, to be safe.
When Saddam Hussein's regime was toppled, Noory's long-standing fear diminished. 2 years ago, he was able to take his children to Iraq, but found a country divided.
It's a failed state still because the country, it runs by the gangs within the government. And the gangs are always above the law. Matthew's new from reception.
Noory Ahmed stood face to face with death. Today, he's a receptionist at the Coventry Refugee and Migrant Centre. His is the first face these men and women see when they seek support. Ben Godfrey, BBC Midlands Today, Coventry.
Well, joining us now is Paul Noon, who's the West Midlands Regional Director of UK Trade and Investment. Good evening to you, Mr. Noon. Can we talk about business there now? I mean, what sort of opportunities are there in Iraq at this time for West Midlands companies?
Yeah, there are lots of opportunities. It's still a difficult market. The security situation isn't 100%, and it's not a market for new exporters, but there are opportunities in the oil and gas sector, in the mining sector, education, health, across the whole spectrum. It's an economy that's growing at 9%, so the opportunities are there.
It's actually growing better than many countries.
Yes, absolutely. It's growing very strongly. So there are opportunities there, but companies need to be careful. They need some support. The UKTI is there to help them to get into that market and to understand what's special about doing business there. But there are opportunities, and I hope West Midlands companies are going out there and getting them.
I mean, you touched on security there. I mean, companies must be really wary of the dangers.
Yes, and they do need to be. It is important. The insurgent attacks have gone down quite significantly, but it is possible to do business in Iraq, and businesses are doing that from the West Midlands. And so, the opportunities are there, but as I say, companies need to be careful.
And if we can broaden things out a bit, Lord Heseltine's plan for decentralising the economy, it seems the government has broadly accepted the concept.